System One. I'm your host, Krista Kornchuk, and I'm here today with our panel of experts to discuss your most pressing job search questions because this is a live Q&A. Before we get started, here are a few words about System One. System One is a leading provider of highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life science, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 10,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, the UK, and Brazil. As you're tuning in today, please join us in the comments. This is a live Q&A, so we are going to be taking your most pressing job search questions. Before we do that, I'm going to have our panel of experts introduce themselves. They will also be sharing a hot job, which you can view by scanning the QR code or by visiting jobs.system1.com. Kat, we'll start with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katherine. I'm a senior recruiter here at Jola. I specialize in life sciences and healthcare recruitment. My hot job for today is an OMICS Lab Manager 1 or 2. It's located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We do have 3 openings. It really depends on the level of experience where you will fall under for the level 1 or 2. But the requirements for this role is next-gen sequencing and library preps.
Hi, you all. My name is Molly Walker. I'm a senior recruiter with System One. I specialize specifically within the construction industry. My hot job of the day is an HVAC technician role that's in the Chesapeake, Virginia area. You could connect with me if you think you'd be a good fit or if you know someone that is a good fit.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Thibodeau, senior recruiter with Mountain Limited. Of course, we're a System One division. Mountain Limited is the pioneering telecommunication engineering firm which bridges our communication gaps and strengthens our nation's critical infrastructure throughout the United States. Today, my hot job is an outside plant engineer or fielder in the Everett, Washington area. If you're in telecom looking for a field engineer job, reach out. These positions are long-term W-2 contract, must have telecom fielding and engineering experience, and pay is based on experience.
Awesome. And make sure you connect with our recruiters on LinkedIn if these jobs seem like a good fit for you. Next, I'm going to be having our recruiters share their hot job tips. In the meantime, please send in your job search questions, especially if they're resume or interview related. We are going to try to answer as many as possible today. Kat, we'll start with you.
Yep, thank you. So one of the biggest tips I think when it comes to resumes when applying is how many pages should I have? People tend to think that 20 years of experience should only fall into 1 page. That is not the case at all. If you're a recent grad, that makes sense if you have 1 page for a resume. But overall, for someone who has tons of years of experience, you really should have, 2 to 5 pages. I think it also depends on what position you're applying.
Oh.
Well, that sounded like a great tip, and I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But in the meantime, Molly, we'll go with you.
Okay. Yeah, just piggybacking off of what she's talking about with resumes, I think it's really smart whenever you're actively searching for new roles to have one core resume and then to tailor it to specific jobs or markets that you're looking to get into or get into your new role. For instance, in the construction industry, I think it's really smart to have one core resume and then have one that specializes in the industrial field, one that specializes and highlights more of your commercial experience, and then different management positions if you're looking to grow.
Definitely, those are both great tips. My tip of the day, which I've been pushing hard here, is networking and using LinkedIn as a resource. Make sure your resume and your LinkedIn profile are a match. That's very key, especially a lot of hiring doing both resumes and LinkedIn profile. Number one thing to do is connect with a System One recruiter. We know the hiring managers. We know the insights of the jobs that can definitely help you. I kind of boil it down to, especially in the telecom industry, you want to build your network as if you're building the telecommunication infrastructure. So not just job board, connect with your LinkedIn partners so that way you can get an interview and an offer.
I am so sorry. The sound shut out, but I think everyone can hear me okay. Kat, did you want to expand upon your tip or are we good to go?
We're good to go.
All right. We love technical difficulties during a live. Let's start with our first question. Is using AI the best way to apply for jobs?
I think using AI is a good tool whenever you are looking for maybe more information on jobs, specifically if you're applying to a couple different industries and you want some more insight on some roles. I think it's a really useful resource. And also for resume editing, I would say as well. But I think I think it's a great tool, all in all, to be honest. But to apply for jobs, I don't know. I think that you should definitely, if you're trying to apply for a role specifically on like LinkedIn or Indeed, I think you should do it yourself because they typically have like specific questions that you need to answer that are personalized for the job that are critical knowledge on if you would be a good fit or not. So I think it just depends, but overall, I think it's a really good tool.
Yeah, definitely. I think AI is here. It's not going away. I would encourage everybody to use it, but you want to make sure that you take another look on it. You don't want your resume, your selling paragraphs, your kind of headlines to be so computer generated that it doesn't feel like it's a human. I guess that's probably the biggest thing is AI is going to help you, but you still have to make it feel personalized, and you want to make sure it's coming from you. You want to be honest. You're representing yourself, so you want to make sure you do a second look at it before you approve it and submit it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys, but make sure as you're using AI to verify your resume, you want to make sure everything is accurate because at things, as you're using it, things might pop up different years, different experience. It's not exactly what you're doing. So you definitely want to make sure everything is correct before you're applying for a job and using this as a tool.
Well said. And there is one thing I want to speak on. There are AI tools that will apply to several jobs at a time for you. And we've actually created a blog on it saying why that's really not the best idea. And we're going to go into why you should tailor your resume for each role you apply to. So if you want more information on that, definitely check out our past newsletters on LinkedIn. But like the recruiter said, it is a fantastic tool. We have another question from Dave. How to prep AI bot interview. I assume you're talking about practicing interview questions with AI, something I've certainly done before. Can you all speak on that?
I can start. I'm old school. I've never done AI bot interview. I apologize. I like just looking in front of the mirror, speaking in front of the mirror, preparing myself that way, really studying hard on the company that I'm interviewing with, doing research on the position, just preparing myself. Now, AI bot interview, what I've known about it and read about it can help you facilitate that piece. But sometimes it's just good to actually rehearse, which is probably the number one thing to do in front of somebody or in front of a mirror. So that way you can see how you're reacting, record yourself. So that way you can see if you're comfortable answering questions.
Yeah, I definitely agree with I was gonna say I definitely agree with Shawn on that. And as you're using the mirror or just, practicing, time yourself as well too, because depending on how long you're on the interview with, like it could be 30 minutes to an hour, you want to make sure that you're able to come across your experience and your background straight to them where they're able to hear everything that you're doing, but not also being too long as well. Again, you want to be straight to the point, but having that research and be able to do it yourself and practicing does come a long way than compared to really having, I guess, an AI bot to help you with it. Like, don't get me wrong, you can use AI to come up with questions to help you with this as you're practicing, but you should be able to do it on your own and practice things that you want to say as well.
I absolutely agree. I've never used an AI bot for interview, but I think these are very great tips for getting prepared for an interview.
Absolutely. We have a question from Brett. It's long, so I'm going to read two parts of this question. The first part, what makes a resume stand out for someone reviewing it? And are we eliminated if our similar job is not the exact match of the job title we're applying for? Good question, Brett.
I don't think you're eliminated if the exact job title doesn't match what you're applying for, because I think that there's different names for similar, if not the same roles in many scenarios. I know whenever I'm looking for certain jobs, I'll use a couple different job titles to find exactly what I'm looking for. So I definitely don't think that that would rule you out just because you had a little bit of a different job title, especially if it serves similar or the same functions.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I think for this situation, we're as most recruiters, we're not just going to look at the title. We're going to look at your whole resume and look at responsibilities and exactly what you've done to see if it matches the job itself. Now, personally, like if you want to make your resume stand out, that's where Molly mentioned before, you want to pretty much have a resume matching that job that you're particularly applying to. So making sure that the skills or qualifications, everything matches and aligns with that job. If you are not matching it and it's something you've done, but it's not on your resume, we might be like, okay, well, this person doesn't have the exact experience. We might pass over. And that's just not us. That's most other people too, that if you don't have the experience, then you're not qualified for it. But if you're applying for the job and you're qualified for, definitely tailor your resume.
Yeah, definitely. Both great answers. The one thing I would probably add, Brett, to this is connect with a recruiter, especially with System One. And the reason why I say that is because we work hand in hand with hiring managers. We know what resumes should look like compared to other clients. We can set you up for success. The biggest thing is, in like early on talking about networking, is sometimes you could fall through a crack if you're just submitting to a job board. Your resume might not be picked up. Definitely detailed achievements, accomplishments in each one of the positions you held is going to definitely make you stand out. But you got to make sure that that one resume is tailored specifically to the job you're applying for. One resume doesn't fit all. And I run into that a lot, but definitely connect with a recruiter because we can kind of point you in the right direction on what's going to sell you better than any other candidate that's being presented to the hiring manager.
Absolutely. And I did read a statistic around 80 to 85% of opportunities come from networking, not from sending in a resume alone. So again, if that isn't your sign to reach out to a recruiter, I don't know what is. Our next question, I tailor each resume for every job. How realistic is it for my LinkedIn profile to always match my resumes? That's a good question, Rodney.
I would say that the main thing for a LinkedIn profile is that your job title and your company that you're working for and your dates are correct, versus whenever you're actually getting into like the meat and potatoes of a resume, you want to make sure that you're tailoring your specific the job description and what you're saying, what you did in this role. You want to tailor each of your job descriptions to match each job that you're applying for, especially if they're in different industries or they serve a little bit of a different function, but you have that experience.
Absolutely. And I do like this next question we have coming. Should we more focus on tailoring resumes or applying to many jobs? We've covered it, but I just want to hear across the board.
Definitely tailoring resumes. Oh, go ahead, Shawn.
Okay. Richard, that's a great question. I mean, we always talk about this between the recruiters, I guess, is one of those hot things. I'm a firm believer of making sure your resume is tailored to the specific job you're applying for. But once again, partner up with the recruiter because we can tailor the resume specifically for the hiring managers that we're working with on a daily basis. And that's probably the biggest key because I talk to people that have applied for 200 jobs to job boards but never connected with a recruiter. 2% of people that apply to a job board don't even get an interview. So that's why it's so important to connect with a recruiter who work hand in hand with hiring managers. But yeah, tailor your resume specifically for the job that you're actually applying for.
Yes, quality over quantity. I was
just about to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to bring that point home. All right, this next question, what are some great tips you can share for those of us returning to the job market after being out for a while? Good question.
Mainly being honest about what your job gap was. I would say that obviously we're all human here and things happen, life happens. So whatever gap that you have, I think it's really important just to be honest and apply for jobs that you might be interested in that maybe you don't really have any experience with, because I think it's a good starting point to like revamp if it's something that you're wanting to maybe pivot into something new. It's a great opportunity to try something new.
Well said. All right, and how do we connect with a recruiter?
Connect with me, Shawn. No, definitely. You want to. The biggest thing about connecting with a recruiter is trying to find the companies that you're interested, or the positions or jobs that you're interested in. System One has amazing recruiters in so many different divisions and different technologies and in fields out there. Ideally, you probably could connect with any System One recruiter, and they could try to point you in the right direction to which person might be the best person as a point of contact, so to speak. But it's like you're applying for a job. You got to do your homework. You got to do your research. You want to study what's going on out there. And believe it or not, you might want to try to pick somebody that you feel comfortable in as a recruiter. What's their story? What's their background? Do they make you laugh? Do they make you cry? And that's really the deal. Is you want to find somebody that's real that can try to help you. I mean, we're not miracle makers. We do our best to help everybody. But that's the key, is just kind of find a connection with somebody online that's a recruiter.
Absolutely. All right, we have a question from Dylan. I do like this one. I think everybody's curious. Why is waiting time between interviews so long?
Huh.
Good question.
Great question, actually. We wish it wasn't. We love whenever interviews move so quick and our clients are really quick with it. That typically means that it's urgent and they really like the candidate. Sometimes life happens and things are slow and it ends up not moving as quick as we wanted it to or we thought it was going to.
So I want to ask a question. If someone is waiting for feedback on an interview, how often should they reach out to you?
I would say,
go ahead.
You go ahead, Shawn.
I would recommend staying in contact with a recruiter weekly. And the length between, or how long it's going to be, it really depends on your industry. Unfortunately, industries there's not as many jobs today as there were years ago. And you might run into 10 amazing candidates who interviewed for one job. And sometimes it's hard for a hiring manager to try to narrow down which one. So that could cause multiple interviews. Patience is the key, but it's tough when you're looking for a job or you've been out of work forever. But probably the biggest thing is staying connected with that recruiter. The recruiter should never get frustrated. I know I tell a lot of the people that I work with, make sure you reach out to me every week. If you don't hear from me, reach out. But that's the key, because believe it or not, in the industries out there, hiring managers do get different guidance from their superiors when it comes to filling positions. So sometimes the position that you interviewed for, funding might have went away. So now that position is not opening, or it's pending. It could be because of weather in an area that's impacting when they can actually start the project. So there's a lot of factors in there. As recruiters, you get gray hair like me, waiting and waiting. But yeah, it's a tough game right now because there's a lot of people interviewing for one position.
Absolutely. Our next question, are you required to meet 100% of the requirements, both required and preferred, or do you have a particular threshold for a set of requirements matched? Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, you don't have to 100%, be perfect for required and preferred. Preferred means preferred, hey, this is something, if they had it, great, we would love it. If they don't, that's fine. Required is required. This is something that they're looking for, that they want this person to have. Now, depending on if it's like I had a position actually that, at first they wanted someone who had strictly database experience, needed to have pathology, all this other stuff. And once we came back with them with, initial feedback of what we were seeing out in the market, we said, hey, is there any way for this to change? And they were actually very open where they said, okay, as long as this person has, if they're coming from a lab and doesn't have really IT background, but has, maybe worked in a lab, has pathology, has worked with this particular system, we'll train them on everything else and it's perfectly fine. So that's where we'll make the adjustments as we're getting feedback from the client. We'll put it into the position itself. As you're applying, you're able to see what's going on. So those positions that you were interested maybe a month ago, things might have changed. I would go back to that job to see, has anything changed in that position where they might have been more open to? But again, for the requirement standard, that's where they're going to look at. They're not going to look at preferred, like you need to have 100% of that. It's more so the requirement.
Yeah, that's definitely a great answer, Kat. And Manuel, great question. Believe it or not, I've had people that are probably 60% qualified for a position, but since they knew somebody or was a referral or, talked and worked with a recruiter, we were able to put them placed in a position. So sometimes it really depends on the industry. I mean, if it's a scientific or specialized kind of position, you may need to be 100% or 90%. As recruiters, we kind of do our best to try to take the best fit candidate to fill the role. They might not be 100%, but based on the individual's drive, personality, ability to learn things, can set those people ahead of others that might be 100%. So it really all depends. It's a juggling balance, I guess, for a recruiter to work with you to try to put you in the right position.
Some good insight. And our next question about networking. By networking, do you mean connecting with a recruiter or hiring manager if you happen to know who it is? What are some ways we can network?
Networking is key, I think, into a lot of things in life, not only just getting a job. So if you can get good at going to networking events for specific things that you're interested in, and that you want to grow in. For instance, we work really heavily in the construction industry. And so a way that we network down in Atlanta is we're a part of something called AGC, which is Atlanta General Contractors. And it's basically where not only general contractors in Atlanta come together, but mechanical and electrical contractors meet up and they have events. We went to one recently, which was a skilled trades event, and they actually had kids. Well, I don't want to call them kids. They're like young adults that are in like technical college come to do like a skills competition. And it was basically all of the trades. And it was a really cool experience to watch not only potential contractors that we could work with, but also clients there as well, that we were really rubbing shoulders with and connecting with. It's super important, I think, to get in front of people and show face whenever you're trying to network, because you develop a lot better, and I feel like a lot better of a connection with someone whenever you meet with them in person. You can actually feel their vibe and get to know them, versus on camera or over the phone. It's always good to get in person.
Yeah, definitely. And I would encourage connecting with a recruiter and hiring managers. And the reason being is it's kind of like if you have that ability to have that interview, you finally made it to the stage, and you interview, you have already kind of met a relationship with, LinkedIn as a connection with a hiring manager. It's so easy to write a thank you note on a LinkedIn, message saying, hey, thanks for the opportunity for interviewing me yesterday. I look forward to hearing. The recruiter's going to be doing that for you also, but it shows your initiative, I guess, and it sets you apart from others. Just don't send a blanket invite or no message. Just don't hit the connect button. Send them a personalized message, because that goes so much further than just clicking a button to connect. I guess that's the only add I would add to the question.
Absolutely. And bonus points if you can say thank you and refer back to a conversation you had. It really shows that you were paying attention and care about the role. Our next question, how important are cover letters? Should we send one even if it's not required?
I would say for the industries I typically work within, I don't really think cover letters are important, but that could be a different case in the industries that Shawn and Kat serve.
Yeah, I mean, for me within healthcare and clinical research or life sciences, cover letter is it's not as important. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a huge thing, but because you have a summary outlining your experience, but all of your summary should and your experience should be on your resume. I think within like healthcare, like again, I had a position where there it's an LCMS position and they're looking at publications. You should have all your publications listed and everything else is on there, how many years, all the other stuff that's listed except for the cover letter. But again, I look at it if it's there, sure, but resume is the most important thing because you list out your responsibilities, you list out your skill set, your if there's publications or therapeutic areas, all the other stuff, like all of that should be on your resume. If you had a separate Word doc that lists out everything because you've been in the industry for 20 plus years, that's fine too, but I don't think it's as important. I mean, compared I think other things, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it all depends on the individual. Cover letters are great. It's another opportunity to sell yourself. Not all industries require it. Partner up with a recruiter. They can let you know if a cover letter is going to help you be more successful or not. Cover letters are kind of like your resume, though. If you're applying for 100 jobs and you change your resume 100 times, make sure you change your cover letter 100 times because you want to make sure it's tailored specifically like your resume to the position you're applying for. Highly encourage people that are just trying to get their foot in the door in a specialized industry to kind of, maybe it's your first job. Cover letter might help you based on what achievements you might have accomplished while you were in college or in a technical school, or even just graduating from high school. Some of the things you've done on the side that might not be captured on a resume, it might be a good way to put it in a cover letter. But really, I think it really depends on what recruiter and what position you're going to be working with, and they can kind of point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And will a candidate be disqualified during an interview due to an employment gap on their resume, particularly given the current challenges in the job market? That's a good question, Jane.
Yeah, I can answer this. No, that's not the case. I think, as I think Molly mentioned it earlier, like we're all human. Things happen, things pop up, and we understand. So we'll go into, hey, and as recruiters, we're talking to you saying, okay, well, I see there's a gap on here. What ended up happening? And sometimes it's I have a medical situation, I was a caregiver, or I was injured, or other things that might pop up that you needed a break to be with your family. Again, we understand, and even the hiring managers will understand as well. I think it's more so if you have a particular reason. If you're just like, hey, I didn't like my last job and I did not want to work, that's where it's like, okay, that's not the right answer. Again, I think again, if you're human, things pop up. Yes, we understand nothing's going to happen, disqualify you. I think as you're feeling maybe some type of hesitation about applying, don't feel that way. Definitely apply to the job if that's something you're interested in or passionate about.
Absolutely. And going off of that, how do you mention a sudden layoff in a resume or cover letter, and is it worth displaying?
Yep, I can answer that. I actually was laid off before I actually joined Jolie. That was my first time ever being laid off, and it's very scary, to be part of that process, not knowing what to do and how to even just understand what just happened, because as you're being laid off, it happens right away and it's unexpected. You want to be very honest, don't feel like you need to hesitate about this. No, if you're applying for a job that's relatable to the industry, every single company will know what's going on. At least for us, we've had it, everyone knew about it, what was happening. Like, oh, we understand, we get it. It's the market. So definitely be honest as you're applying to jobs, as you're interviewing. If you want to put in your resume that you were laid off, sure, you can put it in there. You don't have to. We'll have that conversation with you. In your cover letter, as you're writing it too, yes, you can also put it in there as well. I definitely say be honest and be transparent as you're going through this whole process. There's nothing to lie about. Everyone understands.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take one more question. There are a lot of scam artists out there posing as recruiters. What advice can you give to protect yourself while applying? That's a great question. I know a lot of people are dealing with it right now.
Yeah, that's a great question, Richard. I don't know what the real answer is for this, to be honest with you, because it's so crazy out there. Uh, my suggestion: connect with a recruiter. I think that you will build a relationship speaking with a recruiter, and you got to think of it as a relationship. It's a long-term commitment for the recruiter and for yourself. We have to build the trust. You have to build the trust with us. But it is scary out there. There's a lot of, I get text messages every day because they want me to go work for them or whatever. People are getting hit up on a lot of messaging. And I think it's so important to make sure that you're just honest and you're building that relationships. Research them on LinkedIn. Take the time. Maybe in your industry, that person could be referred by another person who's worked with that recruiter. You know, check how they're posting on LinkedIn and things like that. It's kind of tricky, but you want to build a relationship. So the first step in my eyes is researching that recruiter and also having a heart-to-heart conversation with them.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. This has happened. I feel like there's plenty of scam artists that I feel like text my phone every day. But also I feel like I've dealt with that on my end because some of the situations that I have to, I don't want to call them situations, some of the recs that I have to work on are go to work opportunities for like some trades guys. And they will, if I'm calling someone, trying to get an electrician to go to a project in Tullahoma, Tennessee, and you can go, if you have the experience, we have the ability to get you approved that day and have you on the job site tomorrow. And that sometimes it sketches people out. And so I feel like whenever I'm trying to let people know that I'm legit, I will give them my LinkedIn profile and I'll be like, you can research our company. We are legit, and you can just come back to me if you're going to be comfortable moving forward with the situation. But if not, I get it. And I totally understand, because you do have to share, if you're getting on contract work, you have to share your personal information typically with a recruiter. And so it is, I think, really important, like Shawn said, to build rapport with your recruiter, build a relationship with your recruiter, and definitely build trust.
Absolutely. And we do have a LinkedIn newsletter that covers what to look for when it comes to job scammers. So refer to that newsletter. And there's actually a checklist on it. If you're not sure, make sure you look at that before giving any personal information. We also have people message us on LinkedIn just confirming, hi, is this recruiter really with System 1? Don't hesitate to do that. We have no issue answering those questions. I know I said we were done, but I have one more that I would like to cover. Candidates transitioning from the military, what are your tips for them? I know we have some good insight on that.
I'll start. I've been there, done that. Life isn't over. It's scary. You're used to the daily battle rhythm of what the military is going to provide, what you've been doing for years on end. My words of wisdom for transitioning from the military: start 13 months ago. You want to find out where you're going to end up, where you're going to live when you're PCSing, ETSing, retiring. All those things is very key and crucial for that next adventure. Probably the next thing is it's going to be a reality check when you're leaving the structure of the military to come in the civilian sector. A lot of different acronyms, a lot of different things don't move as fast or as organized sometimes you might feel in the civilian side compared to the military side. But there is hope. The grass is always greener on the other side, I tell folks. But partner up with somebody definitely that's transitioned from the military to kind of help you with resume writing, pointers. Definitely go to your career fairs when you're getting out of the military. Those are probably the best things you'll ever get, especially because every military base is going to have those prior to you getting out. And connect with folks that have already transitioned. There's a lot of great guys and gals out there that have definitely transitioned very well, and they can point you in the right direction and help you out. But thanks for your service.
Yeah, I mean, Shawn is the best person to pretty much talk about this. And we actually had someone in my office that was transitioning out of it as well. And she's just like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And so she did an internship actually with us. And it was definitely a very, situation where she's like, we're very used to a fast paced environment. Now like, as Shawn mentioned, reality hits. So if you're not really sure what to do and you're not sure where to even to go or where to begin, like definitely follow those tips with Shawn. Apply to do internships. Sometimes that might help you where you kind of get a test of, okay, well, I might like this, maybe I don't like this. So, and then you find something else that's initially you're passionate about. But those internships, they're going to only be for, I don't know, 3 to 6 months maybe. But like I said, you have a feeling now for that job that you might be interested in. And if it's not, your internship is going to come to an end. You can find something else that you might be more passionate about.
Absolutely. Thank you both for answering that question. And we're out of time for today. We had some great questions. I want to thank everyone that commented and, of course, our expert panel. Make sure you tune in to Sound Off with System 1 every first and third Friday at 2 p.m. for more job seeker topics. Our next episode will be February 20th at 2 p.m., and we're going to be discussing what to do if you lose your job. We'll see you then.